Welcome to the very first episode of the Dish and Nutrition Podcast. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud.
Yay.
It has been a long time coming, I feel like.
Like 2 years.
Yeah.
More than that, probably.
Yeah, it's been in the works or in my thought process for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
I've also had a newborn and now a toddler in that time period. So I feel like I wasn't able to give myself to another platform, but I feel like now is the time.
Here we are.
Since it's the first episode, we'll do a really quick introduction as to who we are, who your hosts are, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of the topics that we decided for this episode. I'm Sarah Williams. I'm the creator of the Nutritional Sarah brand. I'm a registered dietitian, mother, military spouse, and I was born and raised in Tennessee, but it's been a hot minute since I've lived in Tennessee. So thank you, military.
My name is Emma Boland. I am a Georgia girl, born and raised in the South. We love the SEC. Went to school for business, and I know nothing about nutrition, so I am just happy to be here and ask Sarah all the questions about, is gluten bad for you, and details like that.
I asked Emma to be my co-host of this podcast because the very first time I met her, she came up to me and she found out I was a registered dietitian, and she was like, is gluten bad for you? And I loved it. I loved your intentionality in being like, hey, I'm going to ask her this question, and I'm not afraid of the answer.
Yeah, well, this social media realm just makes you feel like everything's bad. What's good? What's bad?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, who can I trust?
Yes, absolutely. And I love that about you. That is the idea of the Dish and Nutrition Podcast. I wanted to create a welcoming hub of nutrition information. I wanted to have a mediator for the general audience, and that is Emma, and she's going to ask the hard questions. And I'm going to hopefully clear things up in terms of nutrition trends, fad diets. I want to create an environment that people feel welcome and they can learn, but also have fun, and it also not sound like you're listening to a lecture in the car. So as a registered dietitian, I want to be the voice of reason for people who are scrolling Instagram, TikTok, all the social media platforms and having questions of, should I try this fad diet? Should I go gluten-free? Should I, eliminate this from my diet?
In my For You page, my whole page on Instagram, TikTok is all fad diets. Is yours really?
I don't feel like mine is, because I have so many other creators who are like dietitians or professionals in this realm. So I'm not as inundated with trends that are going around. So I asked Emma to just consume her social media feed for like a few days, like genuinely with the intention of seeking out these nutrition topics and fad diets.
All right. Well, the first one that is everywhere is colostrum. The man that keeps popping up on my page and is like, I dry scoop colostrum.
I snort colostrum.
What is colostrum? Why do I need to spend $70 on it? It comes from a cow, apparently. And it's supposed to make you just feel untouchable. Like, what is colostrum? Why am I buying it?
Thank you so much for bringing this to my page, because I feel like I've not personally been seeing it, but I have had friends reach out to me and go, do I need colostrum? I just want to say, starting this conversation off, it's funny that we're having this conversation and that it's a trending topic, because being on the other side of the curtain, the professional side of the curtain, I get in so many arguments, especially on the internet, with people who are like, well, humans are the only mammals who drink other mammals' milk. And I just want to say, where's the line? Why is it not okay for us to drink dairy milk, but we can, dry scoop the colostrum that was specifically made for baby calves?
So colostrum is for baby calves. I don't even know what colostrum is, to be completely honest.
No, colostrum is the milk that is created by the mother for the infant or the calf in this instance, because bovine is cows. It is just a powerhouse of nutrition. It's got immunoglobulins. It's got growth factors. It's got antimicrobial peptides. It's fantastic for the very specific needs of that calf or infant. It is coined liquid gold, and for good reason, because it is a nutrition powerhouse. However, I want to make it abundantly clear, it is specifically made for that infant or said calf. So a lot of the supplement companies that are alleging that this bovine colostrum, it can regulate the immune system, improve digestive health, support skin, and muscle recovery after exercise, which are ridiculous claims.
Yeah, I mean, if
those are large and broad.
no wonder everybody's using it if that's what they're
Oh yeah,
claiming.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I had no knowing of this topic beforehand, I probably would have snorted it already by now.
Are we allowed to say that?
I think so. I do want to give a caveat that bovine colostrum has been used.
Wait, what is bovine?
Cow.
Okay.
Okay. I do want to say, and I don't want to negate, that bovine colostrum has been used in centuries for traditional or complementary therapy for a wide variety of like ailments. And I don't want to negate that. As a dietitian who has an ethical responsibility to practice evidence-based medicine and science, I cannot in good conscience just say, yeah, go ahead and buy that cow colostrum.
Okay, so people on Instagram are selling us this colostrum and they're
Yeah.
having these large claims. Are there any studies? Is there like science-based research that shows yes or no to colostrum?
Fantastic question. I actually looked up some research prior to this episode, and okay. There is a trial that involves 160 children that had recurrent diarrhea and vomiting, and those who took the bovine colostrum supplements had less diarrhea or vomiting than those who took the placebo. With a grain of salt, because we have to look at conflicts of interest, the amount of people who were studied, and the type of people that were studied. I know this may come to a shock to some, but we as grown adults are different than children. So I don't want to negate the study, but I do want to say maybe take it with a grain of salt because it was only 160 children.
160 is not a lot.
That's not
if
a
you
lot
think
of in
about
like
that.
the grand
For
scheme.
research purposes.
Exactly. But I do want to say the studies that cite like any potential benefits, heavy on the potential. They're almost always funded by like supplement companies, which is a conflict of interest, and which I don't love. I don't love that.
You don't love that around here.
We don't love that around here. And like any other supplement on the market, it's not regulated by the FDA.
What?
Yeah. Supplements are not regulated by the FDA. That's why they have like, this claim has not been evaluated by the FDA, blah, blah, blah.
I
If
did
you see it
not
on
know
all
that.
supplements, yes.
That's wild.
We're going to talk about that in a future episode. We're going to talk all
Wait,
about
what?
supplements. Yes.
Oh my
Surprise,
gosh.
surprise.
Sarah, can you go through my medicine cabinet and tell me which supplements are allowed, please?
It's also an issue because quality control is left to the manufacturer. You really just have to be wary of
Just
what
conscious.
supplements you're buying,
Yeah, no
who's
kidding.
making them. So long story short, there's not really enough studies that show if there are any benefits to the general public taking this supplement. I would like to personally say keep your $70 and maybe not snort, dry scoop, ingest bovine colostrum. That is my official take on that. For the second topic, I'm actually going to bring it to Emma because I kind of want to see her face.
Bless.
Emma, on average, how many cups of coffee do you have?
I'll drink usually one in the morning and then like one mid-afternoon.
Okay, I just want to clarify. You do drink them? You don't put them anywhere else?
Since I could drink coffee, yes, it's ingested through my throat and down my esophagus.
I
Where
do
are we
have to
going
I
with
do have to
this?
specify because there
Oh, Lord.
is a trend going around. I think it's been around for a while, but I have been seeing it a little bit more on coffee enemas.
I don't know what a coffee enema is.
Do you know what an enema is?
No.
Okay,
Oh gosh.
buckle up and pucker up. In general, an enema is where someone will take a solution, kindly put it up their rectum, and it helps with constipation.
Where is this typically administered?
You can do it at home, which I don't love. I would love it in a medical setting, in a perfect world, that people would be doing these with medical professionals in the same room.
Or
But unfortunately,
consulting
we
with-
don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah, no kidding.
So a coffee enema is when the solution that they're putting up their rectum, the solution is coffee. Yeah.
Wait,
Do you ever just get a hankering? I need that.
Wait, can we pull up an image?
Yes. Let me pull up an image for Emma to see what a coffee enema is.
Like, what? Oh my god. Wait, what the heck? Ew.
Oh my God, wait, this is so graphic and so gross. Is that a tube?
I won't be sharing these images, but you can use your imagination on
you need
what
to look
these.
this up.
Yeah, I want to go on record before we even start this conversation of I don't
People
recommend.
are doing this?
People are putting this up their rectum. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the rectum is a sensitive area. Okay, so in general, an enema is where someone puts a solution up their rectum to help with constipation. A coffee enema, as per the name, is when someone inserts coffee into their rectum. Some other benefits, alleged benefits to coffee enemas is that it will remove toxins, which if you have followed me for more than 5 seconds, you will know how I feel about the words toxins or detoxes or things like that. It can increase energy, which I would like to say maybe it has some validity because you're sticking coffee in a very vulnerable area. So I'm going to say maybe you get a little pep in your step.
Yeah, you get some stimulation.
It can boost immunity and relieve chronic constipation.
Well, yeah, no crap.
No, literally. If you are stopped up, which chronic constipation is a very real medical condition. There are a plethora of things that can cause constipation, medical conditions, different medications. Constipation is a very valid medical concern. However, I don't want you sticking a coffee enema up your rectum in hopes of clearing that up. Let's try some fiber first. Let's drink some water, maybe. Let's drink some coffee. Why people get the urge to go when they drink coffee is because it can stimulate peristalsis. That is like the movement at which your food is digested. So when that's stimulated, it's going to make you want to feel like you got to go quicker. But I don't want people to listen to this episode and look up coffee enemas and being like, that's a good idea.
I mean, coffee enemas, I get it. If you are really stopped up, it sounds like an easy out. But why?
Yeah.
Is there like reason as to why we shouldn't do it?
Yeah. So coffee enemas can, one, inflame the colon, which is called colitis.
That sounds like so pleasant.
It's horrible. It's so painful.
Awful.
And then it can also cause the inflammation of the rectum, which is called proctitis. Another warning that I kept seeing when I was doing research for this episode is if you're doing an enema with hot coffee, it can cause rectal burns.
Hot coffee in my rectum.
I'm going to put that as the tag trailer for this episode.
No, thank you.
All right. So again, when I was doing research for the episode, here are some of the names of the research articles that I came across. Coffee enema induced acute colitis.
Okay.
Proctocolitis from coffee enema.
Okay.
Polymicrobial enteric septicemia from coffee enemas.
Oh, that one I love. That sounds awful.
Not good.
So
not good. Oh, I'm not done.
Oh.
Rectal burn induced by hot coffee and enema. And personally, my favorite, deaths related to coffee enema. Death by coffee enema. Long story short, never will there be a situation outside of maybe a colonoscopy under the supervision of a medical professional for medical purposes to putting something up your rectum. I just highly caution those who do it to be very wary. And if you want to, I never want to yuck anybody's yum. I just highly advise you doing it in a medical setting with someone who can at least double check your work. Let's call that topic done. Switching gears from putting coffee up our butts.
I have one more thing that I know nutritional Sarah is going to hate.
Perfect. I love.
It's like your 3 enemies, which is like a fad diet,
Amazing.
quick weight loss.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's called souping. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
It's everywhere, which I understand that summer's coming up and some people feel like they need to get a bikini body, but
I also, let me just say, pause.
Yes.
Anybody who has a body has a bikini body.
So souping is literally where you just, for 5 days, I think it's like 72 hours, 5 days if you can even go that long.
Yeah, without passing out.
Yeah, without getting really angry at everybody. You're just eating soup.
You're just eating soup. Okay, yes, I have.
Like cabbage, yeah.
Yes, I have heard of this. I've heard of it. So I think it was like the 1980s. It was really, really popular. It was the cabbage soup diet. It's just another get skinny quick. I think we Gen Z millennials have turned it into just a souping trend because we didn't like to be we didn't like cabbage soup apparently, and they wanted to still diet and use the souping trend. I don't love it. I have never loved anything that is a quick diet. And let me just say something that I've been screaming for, I don't know, how long have I been doing this? The last 4 years. If you use a diet that's unsustainable, the weight that you lost using that diet will also be unsustainable.
Well, and like eating soup for 5 days straight, that doesn't sound healthy.
No.
Like what are your thoughts on that?
So soup is so, I don't know, it's so ambiguous. Like, you know, there's hearty soups, there's chicken bone broth soups. There's so many different soups that people could use with this trend that it's hard to like put in one little box. But I will say, just in a very broad sense, that hyperfixating on one food for multiple days, multiple weeks, that's going to lead to some sort of nutrient loss, because you're not eating a well-balanced diet. You're not getting different variations of nutrients from different variations of foods if you're sticking to one food every single day.
I feel like I would just miss eating, like chewing and...
Yes, like when I was doing my clinical rotation at an acute hospital setting, we had patients who were on a full liquid diet after gastrointestinal surgeries. They had gastrointestinal diseases, or they couldn't chew or swallow correctly, so they could only do full liquid. And I would almost guarantee that 99% of them would have preferred the action of chewing or like the texture of food rather than just swallowing some sort of broth-based soup for days on end.
And I feel like when I don't eat enough nutrients, I get hangry. I am not fun to be around.
Oh, if you give me one food to like eat for, I don't know, multiple days in a row, I would be the most hateful human in the entire world.
Yeah, I need a sweet treat too.
I need a sweet treat, and there's not a sweet treat soup. When I was on that rotation, a lot of those people, if they were on a full liquid diet for more, I want to say like than 3 days, there was different protocols for different hospitals. We would have to watch out for malnutrition.
And just going back to what you said earlier, is that's an awful way to
live life.
Yes, live life. And it doesn't seem sustainable. From my For You page, it was, the goal was for weight loss. Like that's not a, like you preach this all the time. Like that's not a sustainable way to lose weight. I mean, I just want to emphasize that again.
No, absolutely. I don't mind intentional weight loss if someone does not feel comfortable in their own body and they feel that is what's going to make them feel more confident and more comfortable in their body. However, I like to focus on, okay, so why don't you feel comfortable or confident in your body? And if it's like, well, my clothes, I don't like this, or I feel sluggish. And it's like, well, maybe we could focus on those things instead of like a number on a scale and trying to put it into a box of, okay, I will feel better if I am 5-10 pounds lighter than I am right now.
And eating soup is probably not going to help that either for 5 days. Don't eat soup for 5 days.
It's going to make you more miserable.
No, and then I would I would go a couple days of not eating anything, and then I would eat a whole pizza.
Yes, because restriction will almost always lead to binging.
It just didn't work.
Yes, it doesn't work. But going back to the whole like actual souping trend, if you enjoy soup, I love soup. On a cold dreary day, are you kidding me? Turn on a vampire specific movie. I don't know if we can say the name. I don't know if that's too expensive to put in there. And then have some cheddar broccoli soup. Love it. Slay. My favorite.
Yeah.
However, if it's the only thing you're eating, that is when I don't like it. That is when I don't recommend it. That is when I wish you would eat more. If you enjoy soup, like, please eat it. But don't eat it for 5 days straight and it only be the thing that you eat. That's not sustainable. It's not going to work. You probably will lose weight, but it's probably water weight. And that's just going to come back once you start eating again. All right. I think that covers the first 3 topics for the Dish and Nutrition podcast. Do you have any questions?
I mean, you basically dished it out. So don't spend $70 on colostrum.
Nope. And just being wary of supplements in general.
Yes.
I'm not demonizing the colostrum. Like, it's one of those things where you can try it if you want, but you're probably not going to see any benefits yourself and you'll be out $70.
Secondly, I learned what a coffee enema was and not to do them.
Yeah, let's not stick coffee up our butt.
And thirdly, we're not going to eat soup for 5 days. It's not sustainable.
Not 5 days straight. You can have soup.
For lunchtime, but not for 3 meals for 5 days.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
no.
Like, I want some variation. I want a sweet treat.
No, I've seriously learned so much from you. I'm not even kidding.
Well, thank you.
I'm being so serious.
I
And now I
appreciate
have
that.
to teach my mom all the things you've taught me.
Well, if it's any consolation, I feel like we have to do a lot of unlearning and reteaching for older generations that we were brought up by. I feel like we've covered a lot of information just in this first episode, and there's just so much more to come. And when I was gathering my thoughts to create this podcast, I saw a recent research article that said 87% of Gen Z and millennials are using platforms like TikTok and Instagram for nutrition education.
I did before I met you.
Which is absolutely insane. And I want to say, like, why wouldn't you? You have this information, you have a world of information at your fingertips. Why wouldn't you use it? So that is why I wanted to put myself out there and create a nutrition hub so people will feel confident in their nutrition choices, because it's all about bodily autonomy. And I want people to be confident in their decision making regarding nutrition and the things that they do to their body.
87%, that's a lot. Like, that's
a lot of people.
Yeah, I would have loved to have that grade in school.
87%?
Yeah.
That's a B plus? B?
Something like that.
When I read that study, I was shocked, but I really wasn't shocked.
It makes sense.
It makes sense because that is how we receive our like information these days. We don't really have newspapers. Like, we do, but I don't get them delivered to my house.
But also, like, it's okay to absorb content. It's just
totally fine to absorb content.
You
just need to be wary of it.
Yeah.
You need to at least give it a second thought. Maybe ask someone who you know has a education or background or training in it before implementing it into your life, and maybe giving it even a third thought if it is required to stick something up your rectum. This was a fantastic first episode of the Dish and Nutrition podcast. I am so excited for the future and what topics we're going to be talking about. If you have a topic that you want us to cover, you can go to our Instagram, Dish and Nutrition Podcast. There is a story highlight that you can click on, and there should be a Q&A box where you can put your question in, and we will look at those each week, and we will implement them into our episodes going forward.
Anything else?
I don't think I have any housekeeping. I just want to say thank you so much for doing this with me and believing in me and believing in this podcast. I have high hopes for it. And if only one person listens to it, and if it's my mom, thank you, Mom, for listening.
It'll be two moms, my mom and your mom.
Thank you for listening to it, and I'm so excited for the future of this.
You've been dished.
You've been dished.